Hi, so we are in week 6 of the Wikipedia project. And this week we're going to do peer reviews. So stop right there, take a deep breath. If this has been a hard project for you and you have had a hard time figuring out where to contribute, how to put stuff in, you just really have kind of stepped back a little, this is the perfect time to jump back in because this is one of the most important parts of the project. Now, what we're going to do this week is take a look at other biographies, look at the Wikipedia criteria, and give some good feedback. And that feedback is so critical because we only have a couple of more weeks to make these biographies publishable. That's a word, Wikipedia publishable. And we're going to hit publish, but we want this stuff to actually stay there, right? Once we're done. So the peer reviews give us an opportunity to step outside of our own focus. Like we've been focused on our own review, right? Or our own biography, and look at what other people have done. And there's a whole variety of levels. I've looked at all of them. There's a whole variety of levels. And so you'll get some ideas maybe to add to your own, or it'll put into your head some things to look at when you go back to look at your own. And you get some really good feedback, hopefully, to make improvements in these last couple of weeks. I'm pretty excited because I've seen a ton of progress just over the last couple of days. I know I'm the same kind of way. Like there's a deadline, I push to the deadline. There's something motivating about it. So I'm really glad that a lot of work got done. So if you haven't had a chance to jump in and participate, now's the perfect time because this is as critical of a participation piece as anything that we have done so far. So feel free to reach out to me, ask questions. I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration here to give you an idea of what we're looking for in the peer reviews. So some of you might have noticed so this is my Wikipedia account, and I've been adding articles that I will create, adding articles I'll peer review. I'm kind of testing things out. So at some point, I've been on everybody's team and on everybody's peer review. So that's a little crazy, but that's what I did because I wanted to test a few things out to make sure they worked. So once you get here, let me close this. Once you get up to this page here, to your home page, you're going to see this section, My Articles. And you're going to see the one you're assigned to, Articles I Will Create, but it's changed a little. And you're going to see a section that says Articles I'm Peer Reviewing, and you should see 2. I only have 1 here, but you should see 2. Now, I'm going to jump that a little bit. So hold that thought. We'll come back to there. Let's scroll down. There's the introduction and there's this week, week 6. And remember, you can get to every week by hitting the timeline. You can go from week 1 to week 8 and see what we're going to do. As we're going through the weeks, I'm not really changing things. I'm adding commentary. So week 7 and 8 don't have a lot there, but they do have the basic outline. That might not be bad if you have time to jump to week 8 and check out what the final is for this project, because there is a video presentation and a final reflection. And those 2 items will give you an idea just to start putting some thoughts in your head, maybe start taking some notes. Uh-oh, I'm being hijacked by a cat. Sorry about that. She thinks she can fit in my lap, and she actually can. So let's jump down here to peer reviews. So this first block just tells you what we're doing, pretty much what I'm telling you right now. What we want to do is be able to create high quality reviews so that people can make high quality articles for Wikipedia. That's the goal. Okay. Now, the question is, how do we do that? We'll get there. But here's what I am going to say. Here's a suggestion. If your team's not quite ready yet, like you haven't hit publish, or you got a few more things you want to add, and you would benefit from an extra 24 hours or so, what I'm going to ask you to do is at the top of your biography, because your biography has been assigned, there's people coming to look at it. So at the top of your biography, put a headline that says, work in progress, please return after Wednesday morning. Okay. That gives you an extra, 48 hours to jump in there, get done what you're going to get done. But it also gives the reviewers enough time. Like they need time to look at this and write up a nice review for you. And so if you pushed it off to like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're not going to have time. Now, this isn't the end. So if you don't have all the things there, that's okay because there's still a couple more weeks. But see if you can get the bulk of it in. Anyhow, if you're in that position, if your team's in that position, just put a banner at the top. But remember, when you're done, take it off. And reviewers, if you go to a page with a banner on the top, just make a note, okay, I got to come back after Wednesday and check this out. And then review whatever's there Wednesday. If it's not all there, it's not all there. So I'm not going to go through the whole training here, but I will say that you need to go. I've gone through it already. That's why it's checked off. So you need to go through this peer review training because it's going to tell you what to look for. And it's only like under 10 minutes. It's not going to take you forever to go through this. You've already found the article. So don't worry about this getting started part. I've already signed the articles. That's already all there. Oops, let me go forward. But what it's going to do is tell you how this all works. And it's going to give you, so let me back up to the beginning of this. So it's going to give you, back to the beginning, one more, there we go. What's good, how the lead, like the different sections, things to look for so that when you write up your review, you have an idea in your head of what you're going to do. And there's a little quiz at the end. So get all the way to the end so you can take the little quiz. So once you've done that training, you're good to go. You can get started. 10 minutes in, you can get started. It'll take less time to do that than it'll probably take me to do this video. So looking up here, remember I said you're going to see the articles you're creating and the articles you're reviewing. You'll notice now under the articles you're creating, there's a whole new section. And this shows all the people that are assigned to your review. And they're somewhere between, it should be somewhere between 6 and 8 names, maybe 9. I don't think 9. I think 6 to 8 names. Now, I can't promise you all those people will give a review, but I'm going to guess, hopefully they will, right? I'm going to guess you'll probably get at least 3 or 4 really good ones. But anyhow, when it's time to go read your reviews, like at the beginning of next week, before you start doing stuff, I'm going to have you read the reviews. This is where you'll go. You'll just click on these and it will pull up a page. Now, what page is it going to pull up? Well, let's jump down here. Articles I'm reviewing. And just like the other section, just like the one you're creating, this has a nice little drop-down menu. So you click the arrow, drops down. I love how they do this. Read the article, come back, mark it complete. So that's their sandbox draft. You'll open it up. You'll see what's there. Good old team Michael Spencer has really kicked in and added a bunch of stuff. Good for them. So you're going to see what's there because you got to read it first. You can't review it. And then mark as complete. Once you've done that, then you go for feedback. On each step, you can mark as complete. So here's how that's going to work. Okay. You notice now Michael Spencer, bibliography. You can go look at that. You can look at their draft. But now there's a peer review link. Okay, and the peer review link is going to open up this page. Curious Curdy, that's me, peer review. This is the page that the group can go read once you're all done. All right, so good deal on this. So what's nice is at the top of the peer review page, and this works just like all the other sandbox pages we've been playing with, it gives you kind of the short version. So these are the things you're looking for, okay? And it's not really like they are your peers. So what we're doing is a team review, not an individual person review. So edit just a little bit to think about that. What about the guiding questions? Here's all the things we want them to include to be able to have. Now, let me get down to images and media because that's almost like a bonus. Images and media will be nice to have. And if we can figure out how to get them in the last 2 weeks, 1 or 2 teams have already done that. But you have to go through the images and media training because there's definitely a criteria. You can't just grab any old picture off the internet and throw it in. So I would say if they have an image, give them responses to these questions, okay? Now, for new articles only, we are drafting a new article, and we do already know that all these people meet the notability requirement, but Whoops. But you could make a comment on the sources. Like, do they only have 2 or 3 sources? Do they have a bunch of sources in their bibliography that they're not using in the biography? Like, if it's in the bibliography, you ought to use them in the biography. Do they do the sources look like they're formatted correctly? I mean, you can give a little bit of feedback on the sources if you want. And the info boxes thing is really cool. So a couple of the groups have figured this out about how to add an info box, and it's a template. A little box on the side that says, so and so's name, and this is where they were, what year they were born, and some notable information. So you can add that if you want. That makes it interesting. A lot of Wikipedia pages have that. And then your overall impressions. So it gives you a couple of examples. Whoops, went down too far. A couple of examples of some good feedback. So before you write your feedback, you have to read the article. You can look at the bibliography. You need to go through the training, not necessarily in that order. You should go through the training and then read their article, take a look at their bibliography, come over here because this is just a refresher on here. This doesn't go into detail about what they're talking about. The training does. Take a look at these couple of peer reviews that Wikipedia is saying or WikiEdu is saying are good ones. So you ought to take a look at that. Maybe look at the editing Wikipedia PDF. That thing's kind of been our textbook for this whole project. Once you've done all that, then you're ready to go. Okay. And so it's got the template here. Whose work are you reviewing? Put down the name of the team because you're going to have a couple of different ones of these. So it's good to put down the name of the team. Link to the draft just to validate that that's who we're looking at. Like you can come up here and copy the link and pop it in here. Just, cross verification. And then down here, you're going to write your evaluation. Okay. And just if you want to copy this up here and just go section by section. It's probably better to write it in a narrative, but you could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you could make it clear what you're responding to. Now, what's your goal here? Let me actually pull up. Let me go down to these examples here. Let's see if it'll let me click that. I don't know. I should have opened this up ahead of time, huh? I think we should be able to click that. Nope, I'm going to have to figure out how to click those so you can actually see what they are because those are pretty useful. And then your goal here. What's your goal? What's your goal? We all have the same goal. We want high quality, valid, reliable information that demonstrates the notability of the individuals that we are representing or allowing to have representation on Wikipedia. That's the goal. It has to be in a format that's easy to read. It has to be fact-based. Can't be, any strange comments or whatever, like, well, it seems like they're blah, blah, blah. Well, we don't care what it seems like. We want to know what it is, okay? So on one level, you'll probably read through looking for what I call the mechanics. If you see anything that jumps out at you, typos and grammar, and you can make a section for that. But on the other hand, we actually really want to look at the quality of the information and how does it read? Is it interesting? Do we feel like it has fully represented our person? So one of the groups shared this link with me that apparently I hadn't seen before, that Brianda shared with them. Manual of style words to watch. Manual of style words to watch. Okay, so there's this whole manual of style. You can go peek at that if you want. You don't have to get into the whole details. But this is interesting because we're trying to be unbiased and because we want just the facts. There are certain words that tend to negate that, for lack of a better way to say it. So like this says, there's no forbidden words on Wikipedia, like nothing's blocked. You can say anything. However, we're trying to keep a neutral point of view. We don't want any original research. We want it to be verifiable, right? Those are like the core policies. Neutral point of view, no original research, can't be something they wrote themselves, and verifiability. It's got one or more sources that verify it. So here's some interesting words, and I like how they broke these categories down. Words that might introduce bias. Puffery. And so it just gives a list of words. Like these are kind of like, if you see these words, this is an extraordinary accomplishment, or so and so is a visionary leader, legendary. You might just flag that. Okay. So here's an example. Bob Dylan is the defining figure of the 1960s counterculture and a brilliant songwriter. What jumps out at you about that? Bob Dylan, Bob Dylan is the defining figure of the 1960s counterculture and a brilliant songwriter. Well, the defining figure, brilliant songwriter. Those are kind of adjectives, right? They're description words that are a little bit arbitrary. So here's the facts. Dylan was included in Times 100, the most important people of the century, in which he was called a master poet, caustic social critic, and intrepid guiding spirit of the counterculture generation. Wow, you just said the same thing, but now you've got an outside source that is saying it. It's not just you saying it. By the mid 1970s, his songs had been covered by hundreds of other artists. Again, you're saying he's a brilliant songwriter because if he wasn't brilliant, other people wouldn't cover his songs. So there's different ways to do it. So I'm not going to go through this whole document, but I will share it with you. And it's kind of fun to read. Like I enjoy reading things about words. I'm kind of weird like that. Contentious labels, perverted, neo-Nazi, freedom fighter. There's just all unsupported attributions. These are my favorite. Well, according to some sources, or many scholars state, or, science claims, 9 out of 10, scientists say, unless you can document this, these are totally unsupported claims. So don't say some people say according to Time Magazine's top 100 people, you see how they did that in that previous example? Expressions of doubt. Well, supposedly Bob Dylan was a brilliant songwriter. That's your opinion, right? You need to be able to back it up. Editorializing, it should be noted, arguably, fortunately, unfortunately. Okay, again, different words. Synonyms for said. This is a little, just say they said. So-and-so said. We're not trying to be poetic here. We're not trying to be, we're not in a literature class where we're trying to puff up a term paper because we need to meet a word limit, right? So just keep it pretty straight. Anyhow, there's a whole bunch of stuff here, which I get a little geeked out about, but I'll share this link with you so that you can take care of it. Anyhow, so your main thing will be on this reading the biography and then opening up your peer review, putting in the general information just so we have it documented what you're looking at. Make sure you're looking at what we think you're looking at. And then down here, if you need to, copy the questions from up above. But the bulk of your review, it'd be better to work the questions into your response than to list out the questions. But if it's easier to list out the questions, do that. Do the best you can do. And when you're done, provide feedback, mark complete, and then let your I don't know what actually happens here. Let your classmate know that you reviewed their work by posting on their talk page. Oh, that's a good one. So you're going to go to the talk page of the bibliography. I think that's what I think. Yeah, go to the talk page of the bibliography and just make a comment saying, hey, here, my review is done and here's the link. That would be good. And then mark complete and then you're done. That's it. That's all. So we're 20 minutes into this almost. Told you it would take you longer to watch this video than it would to do the training. Don't forget the peer review training down here, the peer review process, peer review. And that is really our only wiki assignment this week, is to focus on the peer reviews. If you feel like you want to keep adding stuff or searching for stuff or whatever, that's fine. We've got some other stuff we're doing in both classes, but this is your main wiki assignment this week. And then next week, we'll get in and apply the feedback and start finishing up the process. So this is exciting. We're getting really close. Thank you guys for coming along on the ride.